Hi, I'm Megan. Welcome to today's live reading from the Aliens on Earth collection, The Alien and the Crime Boss by Naomi Valkyrie, presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Join me, Chapter 1. Pounding at the front door roused me from sleep. Groggy, I make my way through the house in the dark, hoping I don't run into something. Just as I get the door open, Denfi shoves his way inside. Gather your things, Leofin. The authorities are coming to arrest you in the morning. We have mere hours to get you out of here. Instantly awake, I go into survival mode, pulling the bag I have prepared for an event like this out from a cupboard, setting it by the door. Denfi stops me as I turn to walk to my room. Where are you going? To get some proper clothes for traveling. There's no time. You need to get a head start so you can get to the rocks in time to cover your trail before daylight. Picking up my bag, Denfi hands it to me and ushers me out the door. We walk in silence to the wall separating the town from the desert beyond. Upon reaching the wall, Denfi and I share a brief embrace. Safe travels, my friend. I will miss you. May Yusafi guide you and protect you. I will miss you as well. Stay vigilant, keep safe. Maybe Yusafi will bring us together again, I say, knowing that it is not likely, but trying to hold on to hope. With no more time for sentiment, Denfi helps me pull back the shrubbery limbs that conceal an opening in the stones. After I squeeze through, he hands me my bag. We look at each other one last time, and then I turn and run into the dark, sandy expanse. By the time I reach the rocky area, I have been traveling for hours, and the first rays of light are appearing in the sky. Exhaustion is threatening to overtake me, but I keep pushing on. Being tired is nothing compared to what I will endure if I am caught. Climbing until my limbs are screaming, I gave it my all. Reaching the peak of the steep rocky hill, I take a minute to look out over my homeland. I will probably never set foot on this ground again, never see the twin moons high in the inky sky, never again visit the resting place of my ancestors. Emotion wells inside of me, but there is no time for shedding tears. Besides, I made my choice, always knowing this day might come. Turning away from the sandy view in front of me, my town merely a speck in the distance, I continue onto the Forbidden Valley. Several hours later, I have depleted the supply of water and food in my bag, but thanks to Yusafi, it got me to my destination. The Forbidden Valley is essentially a graveyard of technology from generations ago when our leaders still allowed it. It is also the final resting place for many poor souls the authorities sentenced to death as an alternative to the fighting arenas. Parents tell their children the souls of the damned are waiting for them here. If the children are bad, the restless spirits will drag them to the Forbidden Valley and torture them for eternity. The legend has gone on for so long, even the authorities will not set foot past the edge of the rock border. They wound the convicted, then release them into the rocks, standing guard at the perimeter to make sure the doomed prisoners don't try to come back out. But it's not the Forbidden Valley I fear. I fear the alternative, the torture of being forced to fight in the arenas. For those chosen to be elite fighters, it is a source of pride. For those sent in as punishment, let us simply say that the Forbidden Valley is mercy by comparison. Picking my way through the maze of old ship skeletons and rusted out machines, I find the entrance to the cave that holds the pathway to both my exile and my freedom. Chapter 2. The crisp morning air invigorates me as I stand on the front porch of the cabin drinking some coffee. Being out here in the middle of nowhere is a pleasant change from city life, especially when the city has red running in the streets. Smiling to myself, I think about how easy it was to turn the two biggest crime families against each other. There has been a truce in place for years, but the new head of the Lord family doesn't command as much respect as his father did. A few missing shipments, a few dead bodies, a few whispered words in the right ears. The results? All-out war. All I have to do is wait out the aftermath and then swoop in at the right time and take over while they are licking their wounds and trying to reorganize. Something rustles in the underbrush at the edge of the tree line, putting me on alert. They shouldn't have found out about me this soon, but it's not something I can take for granted. Ducking down behind a chair, I keep my eye on the woods. A minute later, a squirrel comes darting out and runs across the front lawn. Tension eases out of my body and I rise from my hiding place. Drinking the rest of my coffee, I keep my eyes on the trees. Maybe I should do a quick sweep to make sure I'm still alone out here. Stepping into the cabin, I walk into the kitchenette and put the mug in the sink, then pick up the rifle by the door. Since I have 2 handguns on me, it's probably overkill, but human beings aren't the only things to watch out for in these woods. I truly don't want to become breakfast for a bear. That would definitely mess up my plans to overtake the city. Rifle in hand, I set out for the woods, intending to do a quick check and get back to the cabin to do some more strategizing for the final stage of my plan. When my opportunity to rise to power comes, I want to be prepared. Any hesitation could give another party an opening to pull it all out from underneath me. I disregard my intentions when I'm blinded by a searing flash of light. The hair on my arm stands up, a sense of electricity prickling the air. When my vision returns, I look around the immediate area, but see nothing that could cause such a phenomenon. On alert, I set out to see if I can find the source of light. The woods are unusually quiet. I'm guessing that whatever happened scared away all the wildlife. It would probably be wise for me to take a hint, but I am too curious to be scared into retreat. Besides, information is power. The more I know, the better off I am to defend myself if it's something dangerous. Keeping as silent as possible, I sneak through the trees. I don't have a specific direction to go in, but I'm keeping my eyes open and my ears tuned in for any sound that might help me find a clue. Slowly, the woods come back to life around me, so I'm assuming the danger level has gone down. Still, I keep my guard up as I continue to explore. When I reach the edge of a relatively shallow ravine, I decide it's time to search in a different direction. Just before I turn to leave, a piece of something white contrasting the browns and greens of the surrounding landscape catches my eye. Walking to the edge of the ravine, I look for the safest way to climb down. Once I find a place that looks like I won't slip and fall to my death, I descend into the canyon with the rifle strapped to my back. By the time I reach the bottom, I'm thirsty and regretting the fact that I didn't bring any water on this adventure. Of course, I didn't plan on scaling down a rock face, so there's that. Wiping the sweat from my forehead, I get my bearings and move in the direction of the pile of white I'd seen from above. As I draw closer, I see the white is clothing on a body. Swinging the rifle around, I aim it in front of me. Approaching with caution, I take in the form, startled to notice the person's skin is purple. Nudging the person with my boot, I get no response. Upon closer observation, I can see the rise and fall of their chest, indicating life. There doesn't appear to be any obvious injuries, yet they remain unconscious. Lowering the rifle, I assess the threat level. The person appears shorter and thinner than me. The tunic they are wearing doesn't have any pockets, so they're likely unarmed. Watching for any sign they're coming around, I pat the body down just to be sure and discover that the person is definitely male. Confirming my first assumption, I don't find any weapons on him, but now that I'm down closer to the ground, I notice a brown bag halfway covered by leaves. Brushing the leaves aside, I open the knapsack and dig through the contents. There's an empty container that looks similar to a canteen, a set of knives that appear to be well taken care of, a small black staff with gold decorations on it that match the knife handles, and a change of clothes. From what I can tell, there's nothing to identify this man at all. Standing, I look at the incline I'll have to climb to get back to the cabin and debate the best way to carry him. I can't risk leaving him here. If he was sent by one of the families to kill me, I need to know. Setting the rifle on a small ledge, I slip on the knapsack, then maneuver the man onto my shoulders. Sliding an arm into the rifle strap, I make my way back up the embankment. The incline makes things difficult and I slide around a few times, but eventually I make it to the top, the man still unconscious despite all the jostling. Getting my bearings, I set out for the cabin at a steady pace. Relief overtakes me when the cabin comes into view. I am in decent shape, but carrying another person around while scaling a ravine isn't on my regular workout routine. After getting the man into the cabin, I find a length of rope and tie him to one of the kitchen chairs, leaving the knapsack on the table within eyesight, but out of easy reach should he break free. Once I put the rifle back by the front door, I pull out another chair and sit in front of the man, waiting for him to wake up. Now that he's secure, I take more time to look at him. Long dark hair frames a face with fine features. His skin is a deep amethyst. When I found him in the ravine, seeing the purple was unexpected, but I've seen some weird things in my life, so it was easy to dismiss his body paint or something. Now that I see him up close, I can tell it's natural. Just who is this guy? The mystery man begins to stir. Taking out one of my handguns, I set it on the table and rest my hand on it. When I look back up at him, I'm met with chartreuse green eyes. Contacts, maybe? He appears wary, but overall unafraid until he realizes that he's bound. Before he can get too far into his struggle against the rope, I ask, "Who are you?" He stills, eyes boring into me. "I am Leilfin. Where am I?" "We're in a cabin in the middle of nowhere." "No, I meant what planet am I on? But since you speak a common Earth language, I assume I made it to my destination." "Of course this is Earth. Did you hit your head before you passed out?" "As far as I can tell, I have sustained no injury, but I am hungry. I had quite a journey before my trip through the portal." "Portal? Maybe he did hit his head and just doesn't remember." "Did one of the families send you?" "Families? I have no family. My mother and father are in Femora." I must have had a strange look on my face because he expands on his comment. "Femora is, I guess, what humans would call an afterlife." Okay, not what I was expecting. Then again, everything about Leolfin is unexpected. Let's try this a different way. "Where are you from?" "Kifaris." "Never heard of it. What state is it in?" "You've never heard of it because it's not on Earth. Kifaris is a planet." Scrubbing my hand down my face, I let out a sigh. Either this man is a brilliant actor or he truly believes what he is saying. Snatching my gun off the table, I stand up and go to the refrigerator. Pulling out some leftovers, I put them in the microwave and get out a spoon. When the food is warmed up, I set the bowl on the table beside Leolfin and put the spoon in it. Untying the rope restricting Leolfin, I aim my gun at him. "Try anything and it'll be the last thing you do." He turns the chair he's facing. He turns the chair he's in facing the table and begins to eat. Halfway through the meal, he looks up at me where I stand at his side. "I mean you no harm, human. Please stop hovering." I'm starting to lean toward believing that Leolfin actually thinks he's from another planet and he's not some bizarre assassin sent from one of the families to take me out. Still, as I take a seat at the head of the table, I keep my gun trained on him. His eyes move between me and the weapon a couple of times, but he continues eating. "If your home is on another planet, why are you here?" I probably shouldn't feed his delusion, but I'm curious what his answer will be. It was either this or die fighting in the arena. I decided I would take my chances on Earth. Again, not what I expected. Looking Leolfin over again, I agree he doesn't look like the arena fighting type, although I've learned over the years that appearances can be deceiving, which is why I haven't put my weapon away. He had a set of knives on him after all. "Why is your skin purple?" Leolfin finishes the last bit of his food, then sets the spoon inside the bowl. "Why is your skin the color it is?" Intense irritation blazes in his eyes. I can't blame him for being offended. It was a rude and invasive question, and a sensitive question. Honestly, I'm beginning to wonder whether my uncle made up all of his stories about Earth. I expected a much more welcoming experience. Being tied up, having a weapon pointed at me, and being interrogated is insulting. Gazing at him in amazement, I ask, "What exactly were you expecting?" Humans are terrible. I do, however, take a minute to reflect on how things might look to an outsider. Maybe I've become jaded and cynical because of my lifestyle. For me, tying people up interrogating comes with the territory. That being said, human beings have demonstrated many times over that they fear things that are different, and the manifestation of that fear is often horrific. But I'm still not convinced this guy is an alien, and he's definitely different. It's possible he's experienced some kind of trauma and his mind conjured up the alien story to help him cope. Regardless, I'm growing more convinced that he's harmless. He seems more naive than anything else, which makes me feel protective. Someone so seemingly innocent this world would chew him up and spit him out. I have hundreds more questions to ask him, but I push them back. The most important question that needs an answer right now is, what am I going to do with Leolfin?